as we know, we've needed reforms for a long time to this law so that we are protecting future generations. Access to clean and safe drinking water is a fundamental human right. And this has become even clearer in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. At its core, the Safe Drinking Water Act was designed to ensure everyone is afforded that human right. But over recent years, it's become evident that the standard setting process isn't working. And this includes for mitigating new, harmful, emergent contaminants like PFAS. We know that PFAS is a forever chemical. We know it causes damage, and when it goes in your body, it doesn't come out. It's time we improve the standard setting process to one that works efficiently and in a timely manner, and that is health-based and covers vulnerable populations. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I yield back. Thank you, Chairman Tonko, and thanks for holding this really important hearing. My other colleagues have touched upon many other areas I'm worried about. So today I want to focus on the need for federal leadership and the establishment of a national drinking water standard for PFAS, which has not happened. And in that absence, the states have had to act. Michigan's one of the states that's been hit the hardest. In fact, we have more than 100 contamination sites now. Many of them are in my district, but our state is stepping up and leading. Last week, we had to do our own maximum contaminant level standard for 7 PFAS chemicals, which will go into effect or is expected to go into effect in early August. I'd like to start with Ms. Chard. In the specific case of Michigan, can you share with this committee about how much time and money Michigan had to invest to set its own MCLs for PFAS chemicals because the federal government failed to establish a standard?
I can tell you it's a significant amount of dollars. I do not know the cost for their epidemiologists and their risk assessment. I know in talking to my counterparts, they talk about the numbers in hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that. So I apologize. I don't have those numbers to provide you.
So not only are states being forced to do this, but cities and local drinking water utilities are also having to act in the absence of federal standards. And Ann Arbor, the city's water utility, has been a leader and on the forefront of mitigating PFAS. Ms. Short, can you say how are water utilities nationwide acting to protect consumers from PFAS chemicals in the absence of a national drinking water standards? And what do water utilities still need from the federal government to address this crisis?
So water utilities are taking actions through the types of treatment they install. They may install over and above what they were required to in order to meet those limits that are established nationwide. They may choose one treatment technology over another. They may choose specific training for their staff in order to do better treatment beyond that which is required that will address some of those PFAS or other emerging contaminants of concern.
And I think, would you agree, and just answer this quickly, that when you have been found in the water, the local water, that those utilities feel an extra pressure to do something since the federal government is not?
They definitely feel pressure to take an action to protect their citizens.
So the Great Lakes, as my colleague Jan Schakowsky mentioned, are a shared resource for many states, including Canada as well. So isn't it critical that each state across the region is addressing PFAS comprehensively and in tandem together from state to state based on a strong federal protective standard? And what are the harms to the Great Lakes region and nationwide in the absence of setting a maximum contaminants standard for PFAS?
So the states routinely work together trying to protect their region of the country, their citizens. Water bodies don't recognize lines on a map. And for the Great Lakes, as with other common water bodies, the states, the federal government, or international partnerships have to develop.
So, Ms. Wu, in the minute I have, let me turn to you. Is EPA at all close to establishing a national safe drinking water standard for PFOA or PFAS within the statutory deadlines?
Not close, no.
Do you think both Ms. Chard or Ms. Wu, are there any specific reforms to the Safe Drinking Water Act that can be made today that would help speed up this process? I mean, we know when people drink water with PFAS, it doesn't leave their body. And we don't have a standard. We have guidelines. Do you think there's something that we could do to speed up setting a national protective drinking water standard when we know the country needs one? Any?
Well, I guess my comment is not specific to the PFAS compounds, but we could look at occurrence data, how frequently a contaminant shows up across the country, and focus efforts on that area as opposed to trying to look at a large suite of contaminants.
Thank you. Obviously, I'm out of time. I yield back, Mr. Chair.